welcome to Fuel Up Wellness. We have another delicious recipe for you this week. As you can tell, we're gonna use our crock pot this week. This is one of the most delicious recipes. We actually use this one a lot. We cook it a lot. It's great for meal prep. It's great to use different types of chicken. You don't have to use the type of chicken we have, but whatever is your preference. And it's also one of those recipes that you can change up and add whatever you want to in because it doesn't change the flavor too much. So we're gonna do an apple Gouda chicken with a little bit of green beans to add inside. So we're gonna go through our ingredients and then I'll show you how to do it. Super simple, dump recipe, done in less than about 6 hours. So one of the first things that you definitely need to have is a large crock pot. This is about an 8-quart. You can use a smaller one if you want to. You're just gonna have to take the actual amount of the recipe down a little bit. But that's okay, you can do whatever fits your needs. But we have some chicken thighs here. Now, I noticed that this has the skin on, which I don't want. I usually do this recipe with chicken breast, but I had this in the fridge and I said, you know what? This is what we could find this week. I'm gonna roll with it, make it work. So this is a good example of that. Make it work with what you have. I've got some baby bella mushrooms that I'm gonna slice up, some organic green beans. These already have the stems taken off, so that is good. We're not gonna have to do that. I'm gonna leave those whole. I've got a little bit of herbs de Provence. You can also, I'll show you exactly what's in this, but you could also take just a little bit of thyme or parsley, whatever spice you really enjoy. I really like this herbs de Provence because it gives a little extra. And then we've got some slices of Gouda cheese, and these are organic, I believe, Fuji apples, but you can really use whatever kind of apple you prefer, but this is what we have on hand, so this is what we're gonna use. And then just a little bit of olive oil. Another thing that I recommend that you probably would enjoy for easy cleanup is a crock pot bag to make sure that your crock pot stays clean, and it's a little bit easier cleanup once you're done, but it's not necessary. I don't have that today, but we're gonna roll with it. Easy cleanup either way, so let's get started. This is a step you don't necessarily have to do because these green beans are already washed and ready to go, but I prefer to do it just because I wanna make sure. This one's a little bit harder to open. Let's grab some scissors and get this open. So we're gonna cut the bag open, and I'm just gonna toss them into a strainer into the sink, and then we're gonna chop up our mushrooms and kind of mix them together. I'm gonna take that one out because that one doesn't look so hot. So you can see these already have the stems already cut off of them. I'm not gonna cut them even more. I'm gonna let them just go the way that they are, just like that. And we're gonna go ahead and slice the mushrooms and get those washed up as well. But we're gonna wash them before we actually slice them. So I'm gonna take this little plastic part off, get that out of the way. And I'm just gonna lightly rinse those. Uh-oh, there we go. Get some of the crud off of them or anything that might be from the dirt or possibly the grocery store, anything like that. All right, perfect. And I'm just gonna toss them into this bowl. We're gonna get them all chopped up. So let's do that, and then we'll move on to our next step. As you can see, I used the entire carton. I'm just gonna toss those in with the green beans. Oh, we lost some of them. That's okay. I'm just gonna toss them in together and wash them off one more time together. Very generously. We'll let them strain for just a second. So I'm gonna take them, just kind of shake them out. It's okay if you still have some water left. That's all right. They're all gonna be mixed together though. And that's what we want. Perfect. So now we're gonna come over to our crock pot and we're gonna take our olive oil cooking spray, and I'm gonna spray it down all the way around. So you wanna make sure you fully coat it. Even if you're using a crock pot bag, make sure you coat it pretty well because you don't want anything to stick. I think I got everything. All right, perfect. So I'm gonna take my green beans carefully over, and I'm just gonna dump them all in with the mushrooms all together at the same time. And I'm gonna take my hands, and I'm gonna mix it up because I want everything to be mixed together and not have mushrooms on one side, green beans on the other side. Perfect. Now another step you can do, this is personal preference, totally up to you, is you can use a little bit of olive oil cooking spray to spray on top, or you can use actual olive oil. Now, because we didn't have that in the beginning of our recipe, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna spray it lightly on the top, just like that, and let it hang out. So now I'm gonna take a little paper towel. You can wash it off if you want to, but I don't wanna have to go through all of that. So I'm just gonna wipe off my cutting board so that way I don't have to use another one and dirty up another one. And we are gonna wash our chicken, and then we're gonna cut a little bit of that fat off and get some of the skin off before we get the chicken together. This is one of those personal preference things. I prefer to wash my chicken. I know some people don't, but once I do, I always like to take paper towels and get some of the water off because I don't want all the water on my chicken. So I'm gonna put them on top of these paper towels. I'm gonna make sure that they're not fully dry, but pretty dry. And then I'm actually gonna cut the bones out of these and cut some of the fat off as well, and the skin, because those are two things that I don't want. But again, this is personal preference. I typically cook this recipe with chicken breast, not chicken thighs, and especially not chicken thighs with bone in and skin on. But again, we're just showing you how you can change this up and make it work for whatever you have. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna dap these down, put them on this cutting board, and then we're gonna take the bones and the skin off. One of the things you wanna make sure you have on hand is a mixing bowl. Now this is the same mixing bowl I've been using the whole time, so that way I don't have to tear another one out or mess up more dishes. So I'm gonna figure out within each one of these chicken thighs how deep the bone is, and I'm just gonna kind of work with it just a little bit. And sometimes you can kind of pull these out without actually having to cut them out. This is just with my own kind of understanding a little bit, just from what I've experienced. Again, I'm no chef, just enjoy cooking and kind of figure things out on my own sometimes. We got a couple of them already done. You can see I took the skin off. You can see the difference. Took the skin off, and then I deboned both of these. So this is the goal. You want to make sure you don't cut them in half. You want to keep them whole as possible. And it's also a lot easier to take the bone out of your chicken if you take the skin off first. That way it stays together a little bit better and you don't have to fight with it as tediously. So that's what I'm doing. Taking the skin off first, and any of those extra pieces of little fat that I want to take off of the outside. I'm going to do that all the way around the chicken, kind of working my way around, but being very careful to do my best not to take as much meat off when I take the skin and the fat parts that I want off. So it's a little extra work, but that's okay. Just know that if you grab chicken thighs, if you want to do this without chicken breast and you're using chicken thighs, I would recommend to use chicken thighs with the skin off and no bone, so deboned. So I'm just going to kind of work my fingers down. I know this is probably not the most appetizing thing to watch, but I did want to show you how I do this. All right, so now once I have the skin off, I'm gonna carefully kind of make little sliver cuts on both sides of the bone. Be very, very careful because you do not want to cut into your own skin. So kind of working the bone out, and it should just gently pull away. If it doesn't, just slowly start working with it. Every different chicken thigh is a little bit different because obviously the bone is attached a little bit different, it seems to be. Again, I'm no chef, I just love to cook, so a lot of these things we are learning together, because I've actually never worked with chicken thighs with the bone in. I've only used chicken thighs without the bone. So This is new for all of us. Maybe not for you, but it's new for me. All right, I'm gonna take that little portion out because that's like the tendon, the chicken thigh. All right, so there's one. We've got one more to do. This one stayed intact pretty well. So we're gonna get this one finished, and then we're gonna show you the next step and how we're gonna put these in the crock pot on top of our green beans and mushrooms. All right, so we got our chicken all done. We've got our chicken thighs right there. Now I'm gonna take these apples one at a time, and I'm gonna slice them, making sure we don't get the seeds. So just these pieces that we don't need, we're gonna throw those in. And I'm gonna slice them fairly thin. You don't want them super chunky, but you definitely don't want them like paper thin either. So around, I don't know, maybe like 1/2 inch pieces or so. And we're gonna cut these down. I'm only doing 1 apple to start because I don't know exactly how many slices I'm gonna need. So I would cut an apple at a time and see how much you need per chicken or per chicken thigh or chicken breast, and go from there. So I'm gonna kind of push these apples out of the way, and I'm gonna open up our Gouda cheese here. And these are in slices. I recommend this over doing like the little blocks because they're a little bit easier to work with for this. So I'm gonna use a couple of those to start. And I'm gonna cut them long ways. So we're gonna do pieces long ways. And then we're also gonna cut them right down the center. So you'll have about 10 equal slices because you got 5 on each side. So we'll do with that, and we're gonna take our chicken breasts, chicken thighs, chicken breasts, whichever one you're using, and you're gonna take one of them. Let's find the best one down here. This is probably the best one. You're gonna take it whether you have chicken breast or chicken thighs. Now, if they're breast, you wanna butterfly them and open them up, and maybe even pound them down to make sure they're all one even layer so that they cook evenly. And you're gonna take chicken on top of apple on top of cheese. So you're just gonna go down through the line, adding cheese and apple, chicken, all together, little at a time. So it doesn't matter how much you use, really doesn't. And you're just gonna fold these over just a little bit. It's literally all you're gonna do. With the chicken breast, obviously it's gonna fold a little bit better, but you're gonna take this and we're just gonna lay it right on top, very gently. You wanna make sure that the cheese and the apples stay together. Apple and the Gouda cheese right on top of the mushrooms and the green beans. Now this was a last minute decision. I just decided, you know what, after I open the pantry, this actually might be pretty good. So I'm gonna take, before I do anything, I'm gonna take a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna take about 1/4 of a cup, and I'm gonna pour it right over the top of everything together. And this is just gonna add a little extra flavor to it. This is optional. Like I said, it's just something I decided to do last minute, but I feel like it's gonna be really good. I'm gonna pour it more on the green beans and the mushrooms than anything, but I'll add a little extra onto the top there. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of this ghee to the top. Again, you can spray with olive oil again if you want to, but I'm gonna add about a tablespoon probably, a little bit on each, very little bit on each of the chicken thighs. That's it, just like that. Perfect. And then our herbes de Provence, we're gonna open this up and I'm just gonna sprinkle it right on top of everything together. About a tablespoon worth all over. Perfect. And then just to help my green beans cook a little bit faster, I'm gonna add about 12 ounces, there we go, about 12 ounces, which is about 1.5 cups of water. trying not to pour this on the chicken. I just want to get it down in the bottom so the green beans have something to work with as they cook. And that's it. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna set this. I'm gonna push it forward a little bit so that we can plug it in. Let's see. Gotta turn it just a little bit. There we go. And I'm gonna set this. Now the buttons on the front of my crock pot are a little bit wonky, but it still works really well. So I'm gonna set this for 6 hours on high, and then I'll come back and check it. So if the green beans are gonna take a little bit longer than the chicken will, but I like to go ahead and cook it on high so everything cooks together. That cheese melts really well. If you wanna add extra Gouda cheese or apples on top, you can definitely do that. So I'm gonna set it for 6 hours on high, let it go, and then dinner is ready. We have nothing else to do but scoop it out, plate it, and grab it. Check out our dinner. My goodness, it smells so good. It's on warm right now, but you can see a lot of juices from the chicken, and then of course a little bit of that water that we put in there helped to just really cook those green beans. This is going to be absolutely delicious. Can't wait to plate it up. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you try it or if you add something new to it, let us know. We have 2 different hashtags with this. You can hashtag us with the mini meals of Madison's Kitchen. That's also on my Instagram if you want to check that out. We also have the Fuel Up Wellness, or Fuel Up Wellness, hashtag Fuel Up Wellness. And then we have the hashtag that we use for our newsletter alone. So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, go head on over to our website and do that. But that hashtag is hashtag the weekly fuel up. So that's our newsletter. This is our recipe for the week. We hope you enjoy it, and we will talk to you very soon.